Tom, we sit here and ready to reflect on a league campaign, but obviously a big thing still to come on Sunday. But we'll start by talking about the league campaign. I mean, obviously we finished with a win on Monday, which was brilliant. How did you think that went in your mind?
Well, as the whole campaign, obviously to finish with a win at home in front of your own supporters is what you want. You want to start well and you want to finish well. The bit in the middle was a little bit different this year. Having said that, there was a target. There's always a target for every club, I would imagine, that you want to get towards as quickly as you can. And with the run that we had after Christmas and the outstanding sort of February, March, and then into April that we had, I was really confident after we played Fylde here at the EBB that whether it was mathematical or not, it was the permutations of the people below us at that time was going to find it really difficult to be able to overtake us, or 4 teams overtake us. So in my head, rightly or wrongly, having won the FA Trophy semi-final game, I started planning in the background for the players that hadn't played much football and they'd been out on loan or had been out injured a long time. I felt it was really important that not only I needed to form an opinion of them with the potential for them lads for next season, but I also had to see them with my own eyes playing for us with my thinking about next season. Now, rightly or wrongly, that's my choice, and I think it affected our flow, let's say. I think if you make 1 or 2 changes, I think that usually that's fine, and there isn't a big change in the general way that you play. But I probably made 4 or 5 or 6 sometimes, albeit in very different competitions, but that's what I was doing. And if people look, probably in the first 12 to 18 months of my tenure, I very rarely made all substitutions. I always 2 or 3 would do, but I've been making 4 or 5 near enough nearly every game since the semi-final. So in hindsight, which is a great thing, you don't have that as a manager, by the way. You have it as a fan, and they can tell me I was wrong and I told you so, and I'll take that fully squarely on the chin. But I knew we were not, we're not ready. We were not ready at that time when we beat Fylde to be in the next division that way. And I knew we weren't going that way. So I was quite comfortable in myself that we could try and protect 1 or 2 lads, and try and give 1 or 2 lads an opportunity to push themselves forward who haven't played so much football, for my thinking, at Wembley. So in the grand scheme of things, I think it's been a good season again. A lot of teams will say the same thing, but we had a huge turnover last season, and in an ideal world, it's harder to get out of my squad than it is to get in. But when opportunities for players like Loren, Josh Stokes, Ryan Glover, Haji Minoga, Kean Harries, for whatever reason, whether it's levels, whether it's financial, whether it's geographical, the fans don't understand that when it happens, but there's always a reason. It wasn't because I didn't get on with any of them lads, I can tell you that. I think we made a good fist of what we had, and I really do, yeah. And we're form at home in the main has been really solid, and that's what teams have got to be built in. I think we've proven over the 2 seasons now, on a one-off basis, we can take most teams on in any competition, and that's probably why we've had the success we have in the cup competitions. But look, people will always want more. I want more. We want to do better. I want to do better. But in the grand scheme of things, I think the runs we had in the cup competitions this season, including the FA Cup again, to round 1, this one in the trophy, obviously, and comfortable. Whilst it doesn't look at mathematically until the end, we were comfortable in the league, and at never any stage did I think, and I mean this, any stage in the season, did I think we should be worrying about going down.
Well, when you maybe compare on paper the 2 seasons we've had under you, it's a bit of a drop, isn't it? When you look at the table, just
well, it
like
is in the table, and but I mean, what's
so
the points difference?
Yeah,
there's 12 points.
Yep.
But then I think we've probably played, I don't know this, but you could right me or wrong me, we've probably played 4 or 5 games more because of the cup competitions that we've played in and the runs we've had in the subsequent cups. That said, the squad this year, whilst we were unlucky with 1 or 2 really poor injuries last season, this season's been a catastrophe, and it's been nobody's fault, and I can't use that word more readily here, to be honest. We've got, bless them, when we took photographs last week for the pre-Wembley programme, 6 lads walked across the pitch on crutches.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's heartbreaking for them as individuals, heartbreaking for me as their manager, because I've had to console 1 or 2 of them, you know, to the point where they're visibly upset. And it's heartbreaking for the lads, because ultimately the group want the strongest group to be out there, you know, and some of them lads would undoubtedly have been certainly considered to start the game, but that's the deal we've been dealt. And we just have to plough on with that. You know, like you say, we've got 1 more game now. It's the only game, so all our focus has been on that since the Oval victory. And the weather's nice. The training facilities never changed all season. It's been brilliant up at Gordon's. And I think the lads, you know, you can't say it's just another game. It's the next game.
Yeah.
But, you know, we all know what's on it. There's a trophy on it. It's the first time both clubs have been to, you know, the home of football. So we're all excited. But ultimately, both clubs will want to put the cherry on top of the ice into the cake that they've got to Wembley, and they want to bring the trophy home, and we'll do everything we can to do that.
You bring up injuries there, Tom, of course, and a lot has been made of the injuries on the pitch, but you yourself obviously had your health problems this year. I mean, that can't be easy either, can it? But also on that, I don't know if this is a proper fact, but is there any other managers out there that have suffered 2 strokes in a season and then led their team out at Wembley? That's got to be some achievement, hasn't it?
Well, not the kind of strokes I've had, I wouldn't have thought. But look, at the end of the day, I have to thank everybody, and I mean that, you know, wholeheartedly. Obviously, the nearest and dearest to me, my wife, who found me when I'd had the strokes, and obviously the medical team at Southend University Hospital, the stroke team in particular. They were phenomenal. I mean, to have me back up and moving around and doing things that I hadn't forgot how to do, but my brain had been injured in a position where I had to relearn how to do certain things. And the saddest thing for me when it happened was that I woke up in the hospital bed with 4 people around it, and I didn't recognise 3 of them. And 3 people were my kids. And I didn't tell them that at the time. I was very upset. But, you know, at the end of the day, you never know what hand you dealt. I believe, you know, a fatal stroke is like being hit in the head with an axe. I think I've been brushed across the shoulder with a finger. I mean, I've got 2 scars on my brain that'll never ever not be there. It'll affect me. I'm going to be on medication for the rest of my life. But I've learned very quickly, because I've wanted to, how to change my lifestyle slightly, how to do things that are good for me more than they're not. But, you know, the people around me at home, my support staff and my backroom staff here, the board and the supporters, not just of our club, who've been fantastic on a personal level when I've seen them around the place, but people via social media and stuff in the wider footballing world, the vast majority of people have been really kind in there and gracious in terms of wishing me a recovery. And I've been lucky. Don't get me wrong, you know, I think had I not been a fit man in general for my age, I looked around the ward and there was guys there who couldn't swallow, they couldn't eat, you know, there were all of these things that I thought, well, there for the grace of God go I. And yeah, it's been a difficult period, but look, in the year that my hometown club picked up a trophy after 70 odd years, if we could do the, you know, what was unthinkable, you know, the day before I had my episodes, that would just cap off a fantastic season. A strange one, to be honest with you,
yeah.
but one that ultimately will end up in enjoyment with a bit of luck.
I mean, you know, it happened out the blue, didn't it?
Yeah.
It shocked the club, it shocked everyone. We tried to make it business as usual with obviously Hugo and Rich stepping in, but there was always going to be something affecting everyone from it, wasn't there? I mean, do you think maybe that did play a part in some way? I mean, it's tough to say, isn't it?
If the captain of the ship falls off, somebody else has got to step into the breach. You know, at the end of the day, I fully and implicitly trust my backroom staff. The people above me obviously trust me to have employed them people, and that's what happens. People have to step up. I think the players did a fantastic job in keeping going. They were obviously concerned for me, most of them. And on my return, you know, nothing's been made of it. You know, nobody's really said a lot about it, and that's the best way, really, because ultimately it wasn't a great thing for anybody to have to experience, and the worry around the time that it happened, obviously. I mean, the good thing about it is, and there's not many good things other than the fact that having had the episodes, I had a full body MOT. I mean, a full body MOT, everything, brain scans, heart scans, blood scans, everything, and A1 okay. So we don't know what caused it. We probably will never know. Got ideas of what things may, people say, well, it's football management, it's stressful. Well, I've been football manager for 15 years, or in a position of, a managerial position for that length of time, and I've never felt like that before. So hopefully it's something I don't have to, go through again. It's not something I'd wish on anybody. And there's only a couple of physical things that have remained, as you can hear, when I speak for a period of time. There's a croakiness and a sort of breaking in my voice, which some people will quite like. The fact that I have to stop and breathe again to do it. But that's because there's a paralysis in my epiglottis. I struggle to do things behind my back, like pulling knives out and things like that. So that's something hopefully I don't have to worry about too much. And the other thing is, which I've noticed, and it's quite strange, that I could be sitting talking to you and in just a random thing, I'll forget the word for coffee or tea or something like that. Not a difficult word. And I think the best way I can describe it is, anybody who's old enough, or as old as I am, who used to watch the game Countdown and used to have to build blocks across the screen from one end to the other. If you got one wrong, you had to go around the block. Well, that's what happens when you have a brain injury. You have to rethink and relearn how to take or partake in that particular activity that you're doing, whether that's dexterously or mentally. So I've learned a lot, I'll be honest with you, and I've got my vision is spot on. It's back where it was. I do have the odd bout of fatigue. That's usually when Hugo's talking to me in the car on the way home.
Yep, no doubt.
But no, in all seriousness, I feel great. I'm back in the groove in terms of what I do for my job, and obviously with what's on the horizon, it's firmly in the back window now. You don't drive your car looking out the back window all the time. No. You got to keep looking forward, and I'm certainly one of them blokes. So I'm fully optimistic about next week and beyond.
Well, making me feel bad about having more questions, Tom, now. But we haven't obviously properly spoken about this weekend.
Yeah, that's
fine. I've just spoken to AJ now, and I don't know which one of these interviews will go out first. But he was so adamant about the effect that this has had on the community, and you do see it, don't you? We've got posters everywhere, we've got flags everywhere. We obviously saw what it meant on Woking. It's such a and to have sold as well almost close to 18,000 tickets now already, and with all the things in the hospitality and everything, it's incredible to see the town and community coming together, isn't it?
Massively. I mean, if you just walk through the town, there's red and blue everywhere, whether there's pubs, shops, everything, so really good. I think that, the people that have provided the suits for us, or have produced the suits for us, they're also an institution in the town.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
102 years.
So from that point of view, I think that's a really good indication of what this is a generational thing. Don't get me wrong, the here and now supporters will come back in August. I understand the near 20,000 or the near 15 or 16,000 extra who are going to come on that day. Might be uncles and aunties and extended families, might have moved away from the area, might be living in another country. There's a lot of people, unfortunately, that have passed on. But I'm sure they'll be looking down on us over the arch on Sunday now. And I genuinely there couldn't be a prouder bloke. I know I'm not from Aldershot, and I'm a custodian as the manager at a football club. There's been better than me before, and I'm sure there'll be better than me afterwards. But there won't be a prouder man in London on Sunday afternoon when I walk my team out. So yeah, it's like I said, I've put it off and put it off. Is it a normal game? It's the next game. Mm-hmm. It's certainly that. But is it a normal game? Of course it's not. Every young lad I know where I lived and was brought up dreamt of playing at Wembley or even going to Wembley to watch a game. And some don't even get that. So nobody sits as a youngster and dreams of managing at Wembley. And I'm going to do that. So yeah, listen, when it's all done and gone, I don't have tattoos, but if I did, there'd be a few dates that I look back on my life that have really affected me. Obviously, the birth of my children, the first time I ever played professional football, the different teams I've been, the successes I've had in football, and after the Sunday game, certainly the 5th of April, for us getting Aldershot Town there for the first time in history would be one, and the 11th of May 2025 because we've been at Wembley, and nobody can ever do that again for the first time, and that is history making. We were fortunate, if that's the right word, because I can't think of another one, last season to be the first non-league team to score 7 goals against the league team. So we've done a little bit of history writing here. You know, and the day at West Brom was fantastic, and the day at Stockport was fantastic, but this is going to usurp all of that. You know, like I said, everybody who's ever entered onto a football pitch as a player or been stood on the side as a coach or manager wants to be involved in the game at Wembley. And us and my lads and my staff and our fans, this club, are going to enjoy that, and I'm going to be enjoying it as much as them.
You've played and won there, haven't you, Tom? Does it kind of compare to that, or?
Well, you say I played and won. I've been involved in 2 games at Wembley as a 3. One as a non-playing person. I was only just breaking into Southampton's first team at the time, and they played against Notts Forest. I actually played. I got my debut on the Tuesday or Wednesday afterwards at Everton, but I was in the team really at Grimsby until I was injured, and I missed both games within 3 weeks of each other, and I had to do the media side of stuff, which when I look back, you know, I look at the lads here who are on crutches at the moment, and there's 5 or 6 of them that unfortunately aren't going to be able to take part in it, and I really feel for them, and I'll have individual chats with them about, I have walked a mile in their shoes or hopped a mile on them crutches. I know what it feels like, but we have done so well as a club to keep them lads involved, and I mean all of them will be involved in the game, the game day, and that they'll be invited to the hotel, they'll come with us to Wembley, they'll experience what it's like because they've played a part. Whether they've been on the pitch recently or not, the support them lads have given the players who do play every week and train every week is massive. And it's all about the group. You know what I'm like. I don't call them starters and subs, it's starters and finishers, and that's how it is. You know, there'll be the vast majority of the lads who start the game will be very familiar to our fans, but there might be 1 or 2 people on a bench who haven't been around for a little while. So, you know, I'm fingers crossed anybody on the borderline of being able to be picked, I hope they can be. But I want everybody to enjoy the game. And the one thing about Wembley is people remember winners. And listen, both teams are entitled to win that match. It's not against the rules that, you know, you can't lose. But as long as each and every one of my lads gives the best version of themselves, for the team, for this football club, I'll be as happy coming off the pitch as I will be going on.